Representative, welcome back here. Non-citizens who are here legally with federal work authorization, these aren't people who are legal immigrants, as the Republicans say. These people who are here legally can no longer get driver's licenses, and the ones who had it have had theirs revoked, these commercial driver's licenses to drive products to the market. Zoom out for us and tell us how big of a deal this is. How many people are we talking about? What does this mean to the Texas economy?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Jason. I just left a press conference right now that Rafael Anchia put on with lots of truck drivers there, telling their stories, sharing with us that, to your point, they have been here for decades. They have been serving our community, and they are an integral part of our economy, certainly here in DFW, and I would argue all over our state. These are the people that are moving goods, filling those grocery shelves. Remember in COVID when we feared like there's not going to be enough groceries around?
Toilet paper?
Toilet paper. Yeah. Or even now, let's say, for example, we're about to get into the spring. We've been seeing these storms all around, and there's going to be hailstorms. Who's going to move those roofing materials in? Who's going to move those roofing materials to your home? The state of Texas just got 6,400 less truck drivers on the road.
And put that in perspective, though. How many do we have, and how big of a group are these 6,400 who are here legally, who can no longer drive?
It's about 5%. It's about 5% of total population of drivers.
So if you pull 5% of these trucks off the road, what is that going to mean to how much you and I pay for things at the store?
It'd be hard to tell. It depends on the goods. But I would say that every single person out here right now they're experiencing high costs. Right. This effort is going to do. The only thing it's going to do is continue to increase your cost. I'm a small business owner. You know this, Jason. It's not just the truck. It's the $20,000+ a year that you're paying in insurance. And now if you owned a trucking company that hired several of these drivers, now those trucks are sitting still. If they're not moving, they're not moving goods. If they're not moving goods, they're not moving our economy. This is going to have a huge impact on our economy, certainly here locally. We're the fastest growing region in the nation, arguably. So I think that Governor Abbott did this without legislative authority. Someone called it a law today, and I quickly said, wait, no, this is not a law. This is a rule. He did it through rulemaking.
Can he do that?
Well, he shouldn't. We call it legislating through rulemaking. Yeah. And so Governor Abbott has been hugely unsuccessful in the legislative session. That's why he calls special session after special session. Now he's pulling another trick out of his hat, which is, okay, I wasn't successful during the legislative session. I wasn't successful in the special session. I'll just do it through rulemaking. So he's calling his agencies in, and he says, I want you to change all of these things. Look, it's a long list, Jason. So he's gone after truck drivers. He's gone after the ability of undocumented to even register a vehicle. He's gone after those non-citizens, including those that have status, to no longer get a license to cut hair, to assist in our hospitals. The list is long. All of these are people that are working. These are not unemployed people. This is a part of our economy. He's figured out a way to make things more expensive for Texans, not less expensive.
And these people not only are working, but these people are here legally according to the Trump administration.
That's right. That's right. They've created a lot of vagueness. Even DACA, they're here legally. But Texas, even though because the rule was vague coming from the federal government, they chose to say, well, we're no longer going to renew driver's license for DACA members. You can imagine. I mean, I talk to people that own engineering firms because DACA kids are some of the brightest that we have in our state, and they've hired them at their engineering firms. Now they've lost their jobs.
Democrats are sounding the alarm on this, but my guess is a lot of the businesses that have products that these 6,400 drivers are moving, a lot of those businesses are likely going to be in rural areas, maybe in suburban areas, and probably going to be GOP donors. Have you heard from the businesses at all? Or are they concerned that this might impact the economy?
Well, keep in mind, yes, businesses have spoken. Just a moment ago, I talked about the ability to register a vehicle. 161 people went down and testified at the hearing. Everyone opposed to the change, and the change happened anyway. The question is not whether or not business will show up. The question is whether or not these agencies have the will and the power to make the right decision based upon testimony. Right now, it doesn't look that way. It looks like they are absolutely taking orders from Governor Abbott, and it's going to affect every single one of us. There's going to be a hearing in the Senate on July the 29th, and the list should be long, not just of truck drivers, but those that employ them and those that rely on that business. And that should be banks, and that should be insurance companies, that should be businesses of all sorts that rely on that need to move goods from point A to point B.
And which committee is in the Senate's hearing that? Do you know?
I believe it's going to be the Transportation
Committee.
Yes.
Okay. Let me just jot that down here too. Have you, all this could potentially impact, at the end of the day, this could potentially impact how much you and I pay for things.
Right.
If there are fewer trucks and truck drivers on the road, that just could further inflation here. Have you heard from the Speaker of the House? Have you heard from the Lieutenant Governor at all? This doesn't seem to be that partisan.
No, it's unfortunately it's sadly quiet. Every one of us just kind of how's a sausage made? If you have a business and you have 10 trucks and you're financing those trucks and now 4 of them are sitting idle, you still have to pay that debt, which means that debt is going to be divided amongst the other 6. That means they have to raise their prices for each and every single one of us. That means the products become more expensive. That means that sales tax becomes more expensive. I don't know that this is a plan, Jason, to just continue to raise the revenue from sales tax, because I can remember being in a meeting where Comptroller Hager bragged about, for the first time ever, the state of Texas collected over $1 billion a week in sales tax. This is a new way of taxing us. We're already suffering from property taxes. Everyone is talking about it, but sales tax isn't getting enough press. It's not getting talked about enough. In my opinion, I think this is the direction that they're going. They've just figured out another way to create revenue. Just increase the cost of goods.
Do you expect the legislature will take this up next year?
I think if Gina Hinojosa wins the governor, absolutely the legislature is going to take this up. I think that we're at a pivotal time in this nation, in this state, to realign ourselves with our priorities, and that is Texas first. Texas first. Our governor needs to be Texas-centered, not always having his eye or her eye on Washington, D.C. Personally, as someone that went down there over a decade ago, I'm saddened that Governor Perry wanted to run for president and Governor Abbott wants to run for president. Why not just be happy being the governor of the greatest state in the nation?
The legislature doesn't meet again until January here. Do you think these companies, or do you expect a lawsuit to come out of this to try to stop this and keep these people on the road, to keep some of these products flowing?
No question. That was a part of the discussion today. Whether we believe that there will be success, that remains to be seen. I think that they deserve their day in court, and I think that day will be coming. The question is it going to come fast enough for all of us, right? If you have that truck, I can assure you there are people selling those trucks right now, and those trucks are not going to come back on the road, which means that is going to be a point for all of us to consider. I wish the governor would really rethink this. It's a bad idea. We need the auto dealers, we need the truck dealers, we need everybody to speak up and speak up loudly and sooner than later, so that we don't have to wait for the courts to make that kind of decision.
Republicans watching this and say, listen, Jason, your own TV station has done plenty of stories about non-English speaking truck drivers who either can't communicate with DPS troopers or law enforcement, or who can't read signs, and these people have caused fatal accidents. Is this not a good idea? Do they not have a point on some of this?
I think they would have you believe that, but the reality is so many of these drivers that have been here for decades are taking the test in English, and they're passing it in English. They can remove the Spanish test, that's fine. If you asked me, if they want to take it in Spanish, okay, they're going to understand it better, but they still have to take it in English. It's not a problem. This is false that these folks don't understand. I mean, my Uber driver can barely understand English, and he's following directions by way of whatever the Siri or whatever is telling him. It's false. So many of these drivers have status. They're here legally. They've been here for decades. They're taking the test in English. Don't believe the hype. This is just about politics. This is about we're making roads safer, but they're not going to make them any safer by this act.
What's the answer, do you think?
Start listening to the industry. If the industry comes in and testifies and says this is bad for business, our drivers could pass the test in English, believe them. Let public testimony go back to what it used to be worth. Otherwise, why are we still meeting in committees? Let's just have executive session, do all that you will. Let's just call it a dictatorship. Let's call it, whatever you will. It's certainly not a democracy. Democracy, especially in Texas, deserves to be public. It needs to be debated on the House floor, on the Senate floor. Let's have some fun with it. The best idea is going to come forward, and it's going to be when people speak up, industry, business, but all the people that are watching today.
Representative, good to see you.
Thank you, Jason.